Let's get this out there. What I'm about to tell you, it's something I've kept to myself for a long time. I wasn't sure if anyone would believe me, or if I even believed it myself at first. But the memory is so clear, so vivid, I have to share it. It all started on what was supposed to be a simple solo camping trip deep in the Pacific Northwest. I was looking for solitude, a break from the noise of the city. I found something else entirely. I'd been hiking for 2 days, following a less traveled trail that snaked alongside a rushing river. The sound of the water was my constant companion, a powerful, soothing roar. It was late afternoon on the 3rd day when I decided to set up camp on a small, sandy bank. The air was crisp, smelling of pine and damp earth. After setting up my tent and getting a small fire going, I went down to the river's edge to filter some water. That's when I heard it. Over the constant rush of the river, there was another sound. It was faint at first, a high-pitched cry. I froze, listening intently. A bird. An animal in a trap. It sounded distressed and strangely familiar, almost like a human baby. I scanned the opposite bank, then looked downstream. Nothing. The sound came again, a little louder this time. A desperate, wailing sob. It was coming from just around a bend in the river, maybe 100 yards away. My curiosity, mixed with a healthy dose of concern, got the better of me. I left my water filter on the bank and started carefully making my way along the slippery, moss-covered rocks. As I got closer, the crying grew louder and more distinct. It wasn't just an animal. It had the cadence of a child's cry, a heartbreaking, lonely sound that tugged at something deep inside me. My heart started pounding. What would a baby be doing out here? Miles from any road, any civilization. I rounded the bend, and my breath caught in my throat. There, huddled on a large, flat rock in the middle of the fast-moving river, was a small figure. It was tiny, maybe the size of a human toddler, and it was covered head to toe in thick, dark, brown fur. It was clutching a piece of driftwood, shivering and crying its little heart out. The water was rushing furiously around the rock, and it was clearly stranded. My mind was racing, trying to process what I was seeing. A bear cub? No, the shape was all wrong. It was too humanoid. It looked up as I approached the river's edge, and our eyes met. It had huge, dark, intelligent eyes. They were filled with tears and so much fear. Its face was more human than ape, with a small, flat nose and a wide mouth. There was now trembling, the cries turning into soft whimpers. It was a baby. A baby Bigfoot. I know how insane that sounds. Believe me, every rational part of my brain was screaming, no way. But there it was. Real. And it needed help. Without a second thought, I started wading into the icy water. It was shockingly cold and the current was strong, pulling at my legs. I kept my eyes on the little creature. It watched it. May its whimpering quieting down as if it was holding its breath. It was clearly terrified, but it didn't try to run or hide. It just watched me get closer, step by careful step. The water was up to my waist by the time I was halfway there. It's okay, I said, my voice shaky, more to reassure myself than the creature. I'm not going to hurt you. I'm here to help. As I got to the rock, the little being flinched back. It was trembling violently now, a mix of cold and fear. I held out my hand, palm up, moving slowly. I didn't want to scare it any more than it already was. It stared at my hand, then back up at my face. Those big, soulful eyes were searching mine, and I tried to pour every ounce of calm and kindness I could into my expression. Come on, I whispered. Let's get you out of the water. You're freezing. And then it happened. Slowly, hesitantly, it let go of the driftwood. It stretched out a small, furry hand with 5 distinct fingers and reached for me. Its tiny, rough fingers wrapped around my thumb. The contact sent a jolt through me. It was a moment of pure, unexplainable connection. It was a gesture of complete trust. I gently closed my hand around it, and it didn't pull away. With my other arm, I carefully scooped it up. It was heavier than it looked, solid and muscular. But it was still just a baby. It clung to me instantly, burying its wet, furry face into my shoulder, its small body shaking. I could feel its heart beating a frantic rhythm against my chest. As I held it, this impossible creature, all I felt was an overwhelming sense of protectiveness. It wasn't a monster. It was a lost, scared child. Getting back to the bank was even harder. Carrying my precious cargo, I stumbled a few times, but I held on tight, shielding it from the force of the water. When we finally reached the shore, I was exhausted and numb from the cold. I gently set the little one down by my fire. It immediately curled into a tight ball, still shivering. I grabbed my spare wool blanket from my pack and wrapped it around the small creature. It peeked out from under the blanket, those huge eyes watching my every move. I sat down a few feet away, giving it space. I didn't know what to do next. What do you feed a baby Bigfoot? Where were its parents? The questions swirled in my head. As the warmth of the fire started to do its work, the shivering subsided. It slowly uncurled and sat up. The blanket pooled around its waist like a little cloak. I offered it a piece of an apple I had. It sniffed it cautiously, then took a tiny bite with small, surprisingly human-like teeth. It seemed to like it, so I gave it the rest of the slice, which it ate quickly. Over the next hour, we just sat there by the fire as the sun began to set, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple. We were two completely different beings, from different worlds, sharing a moment of quiet understanding. As dusk settled in, a deep sound echoed from the forest across the river. It was a low, resonant call, almost like a deep hoot, but with more power, more voice. The little one's head shot up, its ears perked, and it let out a soft, chirping call in response. The call from the woods came again, closer this time. A massive, dark shape emerged from the trees on the other side of the river. It was huge, easily at 8 or 9 feet tall, covered in the same dark fur. It was an adult. My blood ran cold. This had to be its parent. It stood at the river's edge, its powerful form silhouetted against the fading light. It let out another call, this one softer, more questioning. The baby on my blanket chirped back again, wiggling with excitement. It looked at me, then back at the giant figure, and then it did something incredible. It toddled over to me and gave my leg a gentle pat with its little hand, a gesture that felt like a thank you. Then it turned and scrambled back to the river's edge, chirping and calling. The large Bigfoot waded into the river without hesitation. The powerful current seemed like nothing to it. In a few massive strides, it was at the baby's side. It scooped up the little one in one enormous arm, holding it close to its chest. For a long moment, the adult just stood there, looking directly at me across the water. There was no menace in its gaze. I can't explain it, but I felt gratitude. A silent acknowledgement, an understanding that passed between us in the twilight. Then, as silently as it appeared, it turned and waded back across the river, disappearing into the dark woods with its child. And just like that, day weary gone, I was left alone by my fire, shivering, wet, and trying to comprehend the impossible reality of what had just happened. I packed up my camp before dawn the next day and hiked out. I didn't tell a soul for years. Who would believe me? But I'll never forget it. The feel of that little hand in mine, the trust in those big, dark eyes. It changed me. It made me realize the world is so much bigger, so much more mysterious than we can possibly imagine. There are wonders hidden in the deep woods, and sometimes, if you're in the right place at the right time, you get a glimpse. I don't know if I'll ever see them again, but I know they're out there, and I'm just grateful I was there to help one of them find its way home. Thanks for listening to my story. It means a lot to finally share it. If you've ever had an experience you can't explain, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. And if you enjoyed this, please consider subscribing. There's a lot more to explore out there.